Because even the fact
can just be in the side lanes early on, and those three heroes alone, when you're rotating in that trio roam combination, is good enough to get Suyo kills. So I think it's Smart Omega really wanting to emulate what Falcons did for Kyle TZ in the previous game. You know, get the start going, get the ball rolling early on. So what are the answer? What's the response here from Falcons? It's going to be a chip and an Eve.
Whoa, 2 major ultimates. Literally overwhelming Okir in terms of choices.
You could say 3 with the electrifying beats.
Yep.
Right. So now for the Luis hero, which was left last, like what does he use to stop those quick rotations? What does he use to go head-to-head with Hilda? There's the CC that's still available. But they still decide to go for the Hylos.
Hylos XP?
Hylos XP.
When was the last time we saw that work? Legit question, like I forgot.
I mean,
it's been a while. It's been a while. I'm not saying it's never going to work. I'm just...
November?
I'm inquiring.
It's been a minute. We're going to ask the stat guy for that one. I know, shout out to Renmar. Renmar's probably at home right now looking it up, typing in his master stats, you know. But it's interesting that they go this way, but I do feel like I'm going to lean towards the fact that I like what Smart Omega did for the draft, at least in Game 2. I think the tools or the pieces are there for them to go ahead and have a similar start than Falcons did in Game 1. The only thing is how do they actually respond to the fact that, yeah, there is a lot of ultimates for here, for Akira to go ahead and take. Not only that, but then you also have to be mindful of the chip. We have seen the chip fall off in the past, but we still are reminded why it's such a good pick when it does occasionally pop up.
Welcome to Mobile Legends.
There's no clear answer to the chip. Like, when Ogwin says it's go time,
it's go time.
Omega better be ready to go time.
And if you'd want to think about picking up an AOE ultimate similar to the real world manipulation, you can't just immediately decide to use it when you're taken by surprise by those sudden Y-walks or shortcuts coming in from Team Falcons, and they're likely to do that. You have to position yourself if you were Okir. So if you decide to go with that, you'd have to take into consideration an ultimate you could use to respond to those surprise attacks, or if you wanted to be the playmakers this time, which is again mentioned in our keys to victory, then something that could complement that aggression.
Yeah, and while we wait for the teams here to get settled, of course, in the early rotations, just a quick reminder and heads up, you guys can go ahead and grab your tickets right now for next week's matches. Head over on the line to go ahead and find those and grab them because they do go fast. Now, looking at the emblems, Brig, anything sticking out to you?
Nothing too unusual. There's, again, the speed, the mobility taken into consideration for Flap, but Luis, it seems like his role here is just really mainly to tank all the damage, given the emblem combination. So I'm starting to see an idea of how Smart Omega really wants to take this by team fight, given the kind of emblems that they chose to go for and given the lineup. But then there's a jawhead too, so like they have multiple choices.
Luckily, Falcon's damage profile doesn't really threaten Lewis, at least until the late game. He can tank it.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, at this point too, it's a little calmer of a start, but Chaknu might be looking to try to catch Ogwin here.
Oh no! He's cornered, pops the Purify, forced to respond. Ogwin sitting there about a third of his health, as Lewis tries to pull out the turtle.
I think it's good though. Get that Purify out before this turtle fight.
Yep.
He isn't 4 yet. Ogwin doesn't have his ultimate yet though. So they're just simply zoning each other prior to this turtle.
Both teams unsure if this is a turtle or not. Andoryu retreats to the orange buff. Ukir here gets blasted in front. Ogwin waiting for
there you go.
The full-on shortcut, pulls a trigger. This is enough to make enough space for Falcons to get that turtle. Kyle TZ scores.
That was beautiful zoning coming in from Flap TZ. Unlike Ogwin, deciding to clear a single XP lane minion and getting a hold of his ultimate by the time they were dancing around the turtle, Chaknu was being zoned out so well he wasn't able to gain any experience. So they weren't able to fight or contest that turtle that was controlled by Falcons.
It was peaceful deterrence. There was no violence, no blood was shed for this turtle.
And maybe that's the best, I mean, for both the teams right now, because even for Falcons lineup, right, we already talked about how they need some time to build up, and that might be part of the game plan. If they can avoid these fights that obviously Chaknu is going to be looking for on the Jawhead, then so be it. You know, don't let it break out into the fight if you don't have to, even though you have some of that early damage already, for example, for Kyle Teasy. So just secure these objectives early on. Yeah,
they're avoiding it so much. We haven't seen any kills now that even we're nearing the 4-minute mark of the game. And if I'm not mistaken, was Omega the team to set the 10 minutes into the game, we still don't have kills game last season? And I think it happened pretty early on too.
Yeah, we've had a couple of those. I feel like, especially last season, but you know, this is more so the case too that Smart Omega, that they needed this. Oh, Chaknu.
Whoa, Kyle Teasy knew Chaknu was there. Power of wildness. Serving up a kill to Kyle Teasy. First blood drawn, and now the answer. A stolen real-world manipulation. Few flickers on out of there, denying Omega a clapback.
So many resources used up by Smart Omega. The flicker from Chaknu, the ultimate from Okir, the stolen real-world manipulation. But still, they weren't able to take out Few.
Oh, inside the jungle, Omega faces off a shortcut once more. A peaceful invasion.
As much as it can be.
A polite theft of the buff.
It's literally like, hey, we're here. Thanks for the buff. Uh-oh, Jome.
Oh, Jome! Big J about to get squashed here by
Whoa!
And an SOD plus a flicker to deny that two-man gank. Moving up to the turtle. Omega collapsing down. Kyle Teasy with the steal! Highway robbery! Once more, politely.
Politely as it gets.
Everything's just politely being done by Falcons here. I don't know if like there was a well-timed stun coming in from Ogwen too, but that was just such a clutch retribution play coming in from Kyle Teasy.
Give me your turtle, please.
Give me your buffs, your turtles, and everything else, please. And what makes it funny is Joy is like the perfect hero for that to happen. Because you literally just, you know, step on in with your beats, you grab it and leave.
With max stacks, so you have the immunity, and then you get on out of there. Better than even Suyo, because Suyo has that moment, that window wherein if you get hit, you get hit.
Yeah.
But Joy can say, yeet!
Yeah, and they like have little to no resources to do that just yet, not unless Chaknu just really reserves those interruption skills. Luis isn't always together with them during the objective takes because Falcons just does it so fast. They do it so quick, aside the fact that they're able to always surprise Smart Omega. Even looking at the positionings here for Ogwen and Kyle Teasy, you cannot split up if you were Smart Omega. That'll be an easy target for Falcons, but just the same.
Flap Teasy welcomes 4 into that Y brush. Ogwen deep behind enemy lines. All right, there's no theft here.
Yeah, not going to happen this time. But it was, you know, Kyle Teasy pushing up on that tier 1 turret top side, gets that. He's just having a good old time. Like, he doesn't really have to join these fights, and that's one of the powers of the chip, right? You know that because when Ogwen decides, all right, I'm dropping down my shortcut, you can just have the whole party there if you want to. Yep. So he's going to put pressure elsewhere because he already knows. Again, he has that kind of that freedom to do that against Smart Omega's lineup.
Yep, and the Falcons are just too quick to rotate. It's always Ogwen being the first to get hold of the important brushes. And even now, I'm pretty sure they have an idea that they're just standing right there. But look at that damage.
From Few alone. Okir down to half health. That was but a poke.
So how will they be dancing around the turtle this time? They're being blocked off by Few with just those void crystals and void blasts.
Oh man, right now I'm sure Flap, if he could on this hill, that he'd be doing that pose just right in the faces of Luis and Chaknu, because that's just another objective which really can't be contested. I mean, and what's sad about it, if for Smart Omega, like, you have the Jawhead, so your whole goal is to go ahead and get those pickoffs, but literally the only person that's been in range for Chaknu to catch is mostly Flap.
Yes.
Like, you're not going to, even if you toss Flap, he's just going to sprint away.
Yeah, because it's going to happen in the brushes.
And his itemization is perfect for what Omega brings. Lady, gentlemen,
look at him.
Anti-Karas and tough boots. And look, he's going to survive this. Real manipulation, stolen away, and he lives!
He's doing the flex right now.
What did I say? He lives!
And if they do decide to go for Ogwen, he has the Purify. So like there are so much limited options for Smart Omega to decide and engage in a team fight. Oh no!
Chaknu goes down. Flap Teasy finds one, and the rest of Falcons collapse on this tier 2 down bottom.
This is more along the lines of some surgical gameplay going on. And anytime you've got the chip, that's what you can do here.
This is vintage Falcons. Even as far back as when they were Falcons AP Bren, when they were AP Bren, they would just slowly collapse down onto you, strangle your resources, take you away from your farm.
Yeah. I can imagine him doing the pose each time he uses that sticker, but wait!
Glorious pathway by Lewis, unable to save Andoryu. He goes down. That's a kill from Marco, and the rest of Omega retreat.
That seems like supposedly a lot of ways for Smart Omega to slow down Falcons. But it isn't enough. Not even the Glorious Pathway, not even the real-world manipulations can prevent Falcons when they decide to go all in, when they decide to commit into a team fight.
So does that mean it's all on Jome?
It doesn't have to be is the main point here for Smart Omega lineup, because again, if they were able to catch out Flap earlier on, you saw that they had close enough damage to kill him, but they just didn't cap out the kill, and that's again because of the fact that Ukir, when he takes that real world manipulation, maybe he's able to pump out enough damage. But look at the itemization. He's too far behind right now to actually pump out that damage. So they're just going to lose this Lord as well.
Shortcut down bottom! Big J gets sandwiched by 4, and the rest of them retreat. All this while, Falcons was taking the Lord. There's nothing on the board for the barangay.
That was very unfortunate. Jome was just trying his best to farm. That was typical Moskov split push gameplay, but that was anticipated here by Ogwen, and it was an immediate response from the rest of the members of Team Falcons.
And going back to that question that Leo asked, is it all on Jome? Well, they don't want it to be, then they're not going to let it happen. So, hey, a milestone for the Idol. Few now ranks 3rd in MPL PH all-time kills, 1356, surpassing Benny Cutie, and they're looking for more.
Falcons looking to penetrate. Glorious Pathway set down by Lewis to help the rest of Omega retreat. You can almost feel Omega's nerves as Falcons circle around them in the sky, waiting to crash in. Holy Shield's taken down from mid and top.
Shield's already popping. So they're going to go ahead and work in with this Lord, at least looking to take maybe 1 or 2 turrets again. With this type of lead, like they did in the previous game, can Smart Omega defend it?
That's a stolen real-world manipulation. Ukir helps set up the defense. Lord, down to a 10th of its health, will go down, saving that inhibitor.
Yep, it seems like a very disciplined approach from Falcons. They wouldn't want to risk having to fight under that turret with incomplete resources.
There's a real-world manipulation coming in as the rest of Falcons bear down on this mid-lane inhibitor. Omega's base penetrated, top lane up next on the docket. Chaknu gets hit by a Void Crystal, a Void Blast. In goes Kyle Teasy, popping the ult, clearing the wave, and the turret falls. Looking for the snapback. Here's Omega, the flicker, and the ejector. Chaknu goes down. Lewis finds Marco, though. A double kill for Kyle as Andoryu falls.
Andoryu falls. I mean, Chaknu finds the right mark, gets Super Marco, but again, what are they going to do off of that? They lost the 2 base turrets, and that's only that first Lord.
Yep, Falcons were already happy enough with what they were able to get during that entire sequence. They might even attempt to still go for this last inhibitor turret for Smart Omega, since they only lost the Super Marco either way, so they can still possibly push up the waves. And I mean, look at that zoning. They're just dancing around the members of Smart Omega. But fortunately for them, they're able to defend. And Jome, at this point, already has his Trinity build. So somehow they already have a bit of damage to dish out, but they have to be very, very careful.
I think at this point, it's more so what we just witnessed, right? It's like Smart Omega, most of their chances or most of the opportunities that they get are going to be from Chaknu deciding to go in and kind of like sacrifice his body. Like that's the story of a lot of roamers out there, and that's how it usually goes when you're this far behind. Now, not to say they can't turn this game around. We've seen some crazier things already in week 1.
Yep.
But it is looking a little dire. So they've got to be able to go ahead and catch up to where they need to be. And also part of this is also, again, Ukir, how he's utilizing the ultimates that he's taking. And most likely it's been the real manipulation. Ogwen, though.
Ogwen sets up a shortcut. Here comes the cavalry. The nest unloads. Jome put down very low. Kyle Teasy was taking the Lord, and he responds. Lewis gets slain, and the rest of Omega retreat. They can't take this fight.
Oh, they want more?
It's not done! Ogwin sets up a CC. Not enough as the rest of Falcons want to take another lane.
There was already an adjustment. There were members watching Jome because they already had an idea that that could happen. But even despite that, it wasn't just a successful team fight for Team Falcons. It was an objective secured for them. They already have the Lord marching down the middle lane.
Once again, the power of the chip and that shortcut, and now it's Smart Omega, the barangay on the defense here.
An enhanced Lord crashing into the base, waiting to jump through. Oh, Chaknu looking low. Andoryu goes first. Chaknu survives, but not long enough to help quell this defense as Falcons get their first win in Season 15.
And congratulations, the Falcons here flying very high in the series. The first showing that we get from Smart Omega. And it's unfortunate for Smart Omega because, again, this was a strong showing back-to-back from Game 1 to Game 2 for Falcons.
Yep, but teams tend to start from kind of a similar situation. Even Falcons, right? They didn't get a win immediately upon entering the season. So we're looking at Smart Omega to bounce back in the coming weeks, in the coming days, because for Falcons, they've completed that already. It was clear that they were already in sync and they knew what they were doing the entire series.
Falcons was in this very same position. Their opening match in Season 15, a sweeping loss.
Yep.
There's still hope for the barangay.
Every single team at this point, I mean, week 1 is always that kind of week for teams to find their footing. And obviously this is going to be the case here for Smart Omega as they take their bow here. And we'll see how they adjust, but that's not something they're not used to, right? This is something that they go through from season to season. And honestly, a lot of the teams, that's what I'm looking forward to in Season 15 in general, is just there's been so many surprises already. And it's good to see kind of the shakeup that's happening right now.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about even having a week where, you know, your previous champions and your world champions face a loss, right? So there's a lot of opportunity for these teams to take that adjustment and move forward as the weeks go on. Because again, it's only week 1, and there's tons of things that can change from here.
Yep, it's the first match of today, Sunday, but look at the amount of fans and audience supporting the barangay. So I'm sure they're pretty optimistic for their team as well.
And that's something you can never take away from the barangay.
Yeah.
Very loyal, very loving, very passionate fans. Glad to see them here, but tonight it's all about Falcons.
It is, and we're going to go ahead and throw it on stage with our hosts and Falcons for the winning interview.
Wala na yung kaba ng kabuuan ng Team Few. I don't know kung nakita mo kanina, but everybody was really happy and rooting for you dahil nakakuha ka ng 2 achievements just by this match alone. You are now 3rd in all-time kills in MPL PH history. Can you believe it? As a mid laner, na-overtaken mo na si Benny with 1,656 kills all over your entire career. At hindi lang yon, kasi this is also his 200th match. Hindi lang game hindi lang game. So umabot sa point of view na bata ka pa lang, tapos naka-face mask ka pa, naglalaro ka na rin, tapos kasal ka na, naglalaro ka pa rin, 2-time world champion ka na, naglalaro ka pa rin. Ano bang nagde-drive sa'yo? Why do you keep going this far, just, you know, showing everybody what you can do?
Para sa akin siguro yung passion ko sa paglalaro, tapos yung lahat ng taong nakikita kong naniniwala pa rin sa akin, kaya nandito pa rin ako.
There's a lot of people who do believe him, Kalusi.
Okay, ako naman, Few. Ay, lapit ka sa akin dito. May tanong ako. Well, first of all, congrats sa inyo ni Madam Icy. Masasabi mo ba mas inspired ka maglaro ngayon?
Siguro, mas inspired. Kasi para sa future talaga din namin.
Yun. Okay. Okay, Few. Kapag ka kasi binabanggit ang hero na si Lina, isa sa unang naiisip ay ikaw. Tapos ngayon, lagi na siyang ginagamit ulit sa RG. Isa na dyan si Burrito. So, what are your thoughts na bumabalik sa meta si Selena?
Masaya naman na napipick na ngayon si Selena kahit hindi siya ganun ka-successful sa tournament. Pero sa scrimmages kasi pati sa RG lagi siyang lagi siya nasa pick or nasa ban eh. So siguro tatry pa namin i-polish na yung playstyle ng Selena. Hanapin namin kung saan talaga siya babagay bago namin ilabas ulit.
Favorite mo pa rin naman siya?
Apo, favorite.
Okay. Okay, next naman kausapin natin si Flap. Flap!
And, wait.
Ayan, mukhang...
Lumalambing pa si
Ayan.
Flap. Okay.
Mukhang swerte yung post ni Flap kanina. Isa pa nga. Okay, Flap. Hindi lang yan yung swerte mo, I'm sure. Isa na sa lucky charm nyo ay yung fans nyo sa Green Falcon. So ano namang masasabi mo sa mga fans nyo?
Sa mga fans namin dyan, thank you sa magpunta. Mga fans namin dyan, maraming salamat. Gagalingan pa po namin. Si Konzi.
Gagalingan pa raw nila.
Gagalingan pa nila. Flap, hindi ba tayo tapos? Gusto ko malaman, ilang kilos na ba ang nabe-bench press? Ilang kilos na?
80 kg.
80 kg. May 80 kg umaabot? Meron? 80, ilan?
4 reps siguro.
4 reps, sabi niya 86 reps daw eh. Pero hindi, kayang-kaya, kitang-kita sa physique. Now, you guys just gave Team Falcons your very first win. You're under a new organization, Flap. I want to know how it feels kasi this is a totally different scenario but you're still the same squad. Kamusta ba maging part ng Team Falcons representing the Philippines?
Kahit anong org po, basta kami pa rin yung magkakasama. Masarap sa feeling kasi kumbaga nandun pa rin yung chemistry namin tsaka di na namin kailangan magbago ng chemistry. Kasi magkakasama kaming lahat.
And you guys are still together getting your very first win. Your winners, Team Falcons Philippines. Boys, you may now take your walk of victory. Falcons Nest are really happy, and boys, you may now take your bow. Team Falcons, the Green Falcons, the Falcons Nest, they are very much happy getting their very first win dito sa Season 15.
Yes, Hans. And unang match pa lang yan ng araw na to, pero kita na natin yung giggle sa players, especially Team Falcons, para ipakita yung mga baon nila.
Well, I'm sure that with that clean gameplay, our casters will have a lot of things to say about that match. So casters, take it away.
Thank you, Hans, Calusi, and also Falcons. I got a lot to say about that. Did he say 80 kg?
He did.
He's repping on the bench?
He did. What was it, 5 max?
4?
5 reps max?
Four?
I think he said 4.
Okay, well, Brigada, I heard, is getting really
And
close to 80
86.
kg.
I like counting rounds, so 5
5?
is what I said.
All right. I'm going to have a bench off. We can join him, actually. We can do a bench
You
off.
want to do a lat pull?
Not me.
We can.
Lat rows?
I don't know about that. Because look at those guns right there, man. Flap TZ getting MVP, by the way.
Yep, and
On the Silda.
it didn't feel like there was any way for Smart Omega to stop this, and this was one of the main reasons why Hilda became such a priority in the XP lane, why it was used even in the roam because of its capability to disrupt and just constantly be in the presence of your opponents and just heal every now and then once you get into the brushes. So you could see the immediate respo all the time.
I'm glad it's never stopped. Like that face and the moat that is also in the game there. But, taking a look at the MVP highlights here for this game. Again, this great usage. And I know it's Flap TZ here with the Hilda, but you have to commend even Ogwin because, again, from what we saw earlier in the week, just yesterday, and how they came together here in this game, it's the synergy. And this is like you mentioned, Leo, this is like the old Falcons AP Bren when they were AP Bren that we saw before. The way that they executed and played and rotated around this game was really showcasing that.
And it was mainly off of Flap TZ's lead.
Yeah.
He was the one constantly living in Omega's side of the map, which allowed for, a majority of the polite theft that went down.
Yeah, I also like how you mentioned Ogwin because even when it came to points wherein we would think that the chip could do so much whenever they already exposed the base and whatnot, they were even able to time the usage of the shortcut so that it could just buy them a little bit more time to push some inhibitor turrets or even the base. During the last sequence, the shortcut was laid out right there and it's considered as a unit, right? So like the turret somehow still attacks it every now and then you still get to provide more space for Super Marco and for the rest of the members to just lock on that base. And they didn't even prolong it anymore. They knew that they could have just ended it right then and there. And for the second game in a row, Smart Omega is yet to take down or get even a turret off of Team Falcons.
Yeah, it was just really a similar thing where Falcons approached us with the lineup that they had. They just didn't let any kind of tempo start from Smart Omega. So I think that's one thing that Smart Omega has to do going into week 2 is figuring out how can we get our footing started in these games, regardless of who we end up playing, because that seems to be the case here. And a lot of these meta picks that we're starting to see pop up and shape in this is going to have to be answered by all the teams out there. I mean, even Chip, when it's thrown out there, by certain teams that do like to go ahead and draft it.
Yeah, I think there was a clear attempt from Smart Omega this time to set, quote-unquote, that tempo. There were multiple attempts from Chaknu, but again, it was so hard for them to get the perfect target. In that single moment wherein they did, Falcons were ready to fight back. And in the few moments they decided to go for Flap, he could just, again, heal in the brushes. If they went for Owen, again, he had the Purify. And it was impossible for them to either throw Kyle TZ or even Super Marco.
All right, fair enough. We did say that Omega should set the tempo and then Falcons to break it. Only one of those teams got to do what their key to victory was. Because, all right, given it is a small sample size, I don't think we know what Omega's tempo is just yet.
Yeah.
Like, what are they about in Season 15?
What is the new timer?
Yeah, what does a Lewis Omega look like?
That's true.
That whole, be explosive, obviously, like Flap here. He's probably one of the most explosive expilators that you're going to see just in general, inside and outside. Just athletic. And, for Lewis, yeah, like you mentioned, he kind of maybe needs to find his own footing in the XP lane, but then that'll transition once the whole team gets there. Because even for Big J, man, like Big J didn't get any room to do what we're used to seeing from Big J.
It's not like it's the first time we've seen a whole team collapse on Big J and then him get away with it, right?
Yeah.
Given here he didn't, but in previous seasons he did.
Yeah.
So, like, what can they do, right, to help that happen again?
Yep, they really need to find and identify like the timings they want to pull off. Because for the games we've seen today, I'm not entirely sure if they're really more early-centric or not.
And with the next matchup here to round out week 1 for day 3, we have TLPH versus Twisted Minds. So we've all got to get ready for this one. TLPH off after yesterday, I think, was a great showing for a lot of people. It's also great to see what Twisted Minds would be able to do after what we saw from, day 1, if I remember right. They played on day 1, and have they gotten to a position? Because I remember the three of us over here, we were mentioning that, it seemed like their own minds were a little bit twisted in
it was rough.
day 1. It was rough. And so hopefully, given this amount of time they've had up to this point for now day 3, and going against a team that TLPH, man, they were phenomenal yesterday. Hopefully they can bring something to the table here.
Some familiar faces, former teammates will be seeing each other too.
MVP reunion.
Hey, we'll talk about it later.
They have an idea of how the other plays, right? But as a team, I think that's what really counts. The way that TLPH is able to perform as a team, even with their newest addition, that's what we failed to see from Smart Omega here, and what we're hoping to see from Twisted Minds, especially after already gaining day 1 experience.
Yeah, definitely. And again, for Twisted Minds, it's one of those teams that I would love to see rise up to the occasion, and they can start there. So we're going to be throwing over to the stage once again with our All Access. We'll be back after this. Let's throw it over stage.
Right after the match, para sa araw na to, we still saw a lot of matches. Of course, Team Falcons right behind us, fresh from that victory. Pero as of this moment, kasama natin walang iba, kundi ang isa sa mga representatives ng Infinix, none other than Miss Jelly Buwan. Jelly, it's so nice to have you here with us today. Maraming salamat for giving us your time. I want to know a bit more about what Infinix has in store for MPL Philippines. What can we expect from the brand moving forward for this season?
Yes, hello, good afternoon.
Good
Hans,
afternoon.
And thank you for having Infinix this afternoon. Grabe, very excited kami this season because we have a lot of things going on for our fans. Of course, the overall MPL community. Of course, as the official gaming partner of Team Aurora, we'll be having exclusive watch parties for their fans and our fans as well.
That's fun.
And then we also have the Fancy Club and booth if you go visit the Infinix booth over here, you can experience the official tournament phone and of course compete with other teams. Then lastly, we'll also be having the Infinix University League, which we're opening up nationwide. So this time, di na lang siya within the metro. And then lastly, of course, madami talaga.
Okay, go ahead.
And then lastly, of course, we're expanding the Infinix GTverse. So aside from the phone, we'll be also having a GT Buds, a GT tablet, and of course a GT laptop. Because at Infinix, we don't just build powerful devices. We make sure everyone enjoys the game and experience lakas sa laro with Infinix.
Man, you can literally play like a pro. Kasi gaya nga ng nasabi ni Jelly, the Infinix Pansiklaban, you're using the best phones available on play. At yan din, yung ginagamit ng ating mga MPL players. Now, I want to know a bit more about those programs that you've mentioned from a while ago. Specifically, the Masterclass program. I want to know what's it all about.
Right, so it's a first for Infinix. We're visiting universities nationwide as mentioned. And we're educating fans and students about esports or probably a career in mobile gaming.
Okay.
So, and we might also bring their favorite esports players. So, yeah, that's what we have.
I mean, nabanggit mo kanina yung team, right? So, hindi malabo na makita nyo sila sa inyong university or maybe somewhere else. But, Jelly, I also wanna ask you to invite them to come over at the MPL Arena para ma-enjoy din nila yung booth ng Infinix.
Guys, go watch MPL Live. There are a lot of exclusive prizes, not just from Infinix. We have Time Zone, Smart, and a lot more brands here. So, sobrang saya. Let's go. Let's watch.
Jelly, maraming salamat for taking the time to do this. And I am sure everybody else is ready for the next matchup because it is going to be Twisted Minds going up against Team Liquid Philippines sa pagbabalik ng MPL Philippines Season 15.